Welcome back to another Sabbath School lesson, everyone. This is lesson number 11. We're going to get into end-time deceptions. Sabbath School lesson memory verse for this week is going to be 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 14 and 15. And it says, "And no wonder, even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is not strange if his ministers also disguise themselves as ministers of righteousness. Their end will match their deeds." In this Sabbath School lesson, we're going to talk about end-time deceptions, especially related to the state of the dead. A lot of these things have basically been gone over in previous lessons here and there, but I think the author is just trying to segment, I guess, a series of these end-time deceptions to talk about exclusively in one lesson. But to be honest, a lot of this is kind of sprinkled throughout the other lessons. So let's go ahead and get into it. There's about 4 or 5 main themes that the author goes through for deceptions at the end of the age. The first one that you're going to see is mysticism. Mysticism is particularly defined as an individual who unites with the divine, and you basically experience this in some way, shape, or form. Now, you have to be careful with mysticism because mysticism is a little bit hard to define. So basically, individuals that we might think are like mystical are individuals that might be, you could say in some sense, fill the universe. They have had some sort of surreal experience and maybe they're like, oh, I feel the impressions of the universe in some way, shape, or form. Be careful with this. Have someone define what mysticism is if you're going to talk to them, because there are many Hindus and Buddhists that we might think are typically parts of their religion are a little bit mystical. But in the same way, they think that Christians are also mystical. The moment that you start to talk about the Holy Spirit basically becoming a part of you or being in you or being a part of your life, they start to see you as mystical, even though you might start to see parts of their religion or other Near Eastern religions as mystical. So just kind of clarify the term if you speak to someone. The other one we're going to go through is near-death experiences. So near-death experiences is basically when you're, someone is pronounced clinically dead, whether they're dead or not. And then they say, oh, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. And they start to feel that maybe in some way, shape, or form, there is some sort of maybe vision that was given to them just before they died or right after they died. And so individuals have particularly claimed a lot of different things for near-death experiences, that they see visions of heaven and all types of stuff. So just be wary about these things. The point is people get these experiences just before they die, and maybe they might come back to life and then say, God told me to do this. And it's not always in line with the Bible. It's just aligned with a near-death experience. So be careful of that. It's a part of the deception the author brings out. The third one you're going to go through is reincarnation, which is basically the cycle of life and death. This is basically when you are maybe, I guess some ways people see this as maybe you're like a mouse, and all of a sudden you live your life as a mouse and you die. And maybe you were a good mouse, and next thing you know, you die and you become a frog in another life. And then you're a frog your life, and then you die. And then because you're a good frog, maybe you change to be a dog. And if you were a good dog and you die, maybe you'll get to be a human when you get born again. And if you're a good human, maybe you'll die and now become a part of something greater in the universe. And the point is that this is the cycle of life. And at each level, you keep ascending higher and higher if you are a good individual. If you're bad, you basically descend lower and lower. Now, the fourth one is going to be necromancy. Necromancy is specifically when a person is summoning a spirit from the dead or in some way, shape, or form. So the point is that when you start to engage with, let's say a person goes over to a witch and they start to supposedly interact with their ancestors or their mom who recently passed away. The witch or warlord brings someone back from the dead and they start to interact. The Bible really talks about this being an evil spirit, so this is not actually a dead relative, but the point is this is summoning individuals up from the grave in some way, shape, or form. And the last thing is personal impressions. Personal impressions or personal appearances is perhaps when a demon or a spirit is impersonating another individual. There's a story of an evangelist who ends up having his mother died, and unfortunately, the day or two after his mother died, his mother walks into the room at 2 a.m. in the morning when he's sleeping and wakes him up, and he realizes this is not his mother, it's a demon impersonating his mom. So There's a lot of these different type of deceptions, but in this course of time, many people start to take these things as real life experiences, and they start to basically believe these things over the Bible. And so this whole lesson is really trying to say, be careful of these end time deceptions. Satan will use these things in order to get at you and to feed you information that's not relevant to the Bible. Now, let's get into the profound meditation. Now, for the profound meditation, I want you to notice something very interesting. In the year 2015, a man actually went to jail and was falsely accused of murder. This individual actually spent 8 months inside of prison before individuals from a team of defense investigators over in the state of California started to realize that perhaps some of the evidence did not make any sense. Parts of the case that really focused on the eyewitness testimony is really the main reason why this individual went to jail. And basically, the eyewitness testimony was seen as basically false. And so the individual, after a period of time, came out of jail. Of course, he was very upset and ended up suing the location. But the point of this matter is to point out something very interesting to be careful of here. Most cases, you start to find out that eyewitness testimony is very, very unreliable. And so what this starts to bring into question in general is our personal experiences. Sometimes we believe our personal experiences so strongly and convictingly that we're just like, this is the truth. This is what I saw. I'm sure that this is the way that it's supposed to go. And this has damaged many individuals' lives and sent a lot of people to prison who should have never gone. And the same point is this: in your own personal life and also in your spiritual life, you start to rely on your own personal life experience. Maybe you rely on your near-death experience, or you rely on your experience of God in some way, shape, or form. You had a dream and you really believe it's from God, or you have this thought process and you really believe that you were singing this song and you were in the emotions and God was really telling you something. But the idea here is that if you're hearing something against the Bible, that perhaps something is wrong here. Personal testimony and personal experience has literally ruined a lot of prisoners' lives. And in the same ways, if you start to look at our own spiritual life, our personal experience, putting it over the Bible, can actually in some ways ruin our own spiritual lives. You can't simply rely on your own physical experience thinking that it means everything and it's 100% sure, because we often get things wrong. So in all situations, any deception, you can summarize the entire thing the author's trying to really say by simply this: don't put any personal experience above the Bible. And if you do that, you'll be okay. I'm Oswald, and this is Profound Meditation, Sabbath School.